Alright, so for this video, I just wanted to go over some color schemes that I've noticed convey a lot of heavy symbolism, right? Because I've recently noticed that like there's a huge correlation between color scheme and like the state of consciousness that like certain institutions have, that certain people have, right? So the first color scheme that I wanted to go over is black and white, and specifically I want to talk about alternating black and white color schemes, because like the first thing that I notice is, I mean, obviously you have like the Masonic checkerboard, like the alternating black and white squares. But I noticed that this is a color scheme that is favored by the police as well. Like a lot of police cars have alternating black and white, and of course, like police officers and like law enforcement is a very Masonic institution, especially in the UK and in the United Kingdom. They have like the police officers just wear straight up checkerboard patterns in their hats and in their uniforms, right? So that alternating black and white is definitely like a Masonic thing in particular that I've noticed, but it's also something that I notice whenever it comes to like prison uniforms, like the classic prison uniform, right? Like nowadays, like the prison uniforms are sort of orange, right? But if you look at the classic prison uniforms, like they have like the black and white alternating stripes. If you look at like the classic like burglar costume, if you look at like the Hamburglar, right? It's like they have like the black beanie, and then they have like the black and white stripes, right? And what this reminds me of in particular is a lot of like native cultures, a lot of indigenous cultures will have traditions where they dress up in alternating black and white, and they'll have like a headdress, that resembles a jester, and they'll dress up like this in order to tap into ancestor spirits, is what they call them. But they're tapping into these sort of trickster jester entities, these sort of a fractal, black and white TV static entities, right? Which is it's a form of jester entity, it's a form of clown entity that some people encounter, is like the black and white alternating stripes that you see. And it's like some of these entities have like a zebra pattern, like a black and white zebra pattern associated with them. So I think that that black and white sort of alternating color scheme is definitely, it's something Masonic, and it's also something that is related to jester entities as well. So like that black and white color scheme is something that I notice a lot in the world, especially with law enforcement, Freemasonry, and like the jester entities in some cultures, right? But the second thing that I wanted to point out is the black and gold color scheme is something that you notice. And I think that the black and gold color scheme, to me at least, represents Saturn, because you have like the black and gold color scheme in Mecca, where you have like the cube of Saturn with like the gold accents. If you look at like Trump Towers in Dubai, I believe it's in Dubai, where he has like a black cube at the top of the skyscraper, and like it says Trump Towers in gold lettering. Even like BlackRock headquarters, right? Like even the name BlackRock is it's like a black rock, black monolith. And like I don't know if a black rock specifically has like black and gold, but there's still like a jet black, like an obsidian black color scheme that is like it seems to be favored by a lot of like businessmen, and even like businessmen, if you want to go back to like the black and white color scheme, right? If you look at like suits, like suits that you wear to the office are black and white also, right? Like you have like the black suit, and then you have like the white shirt, so it's like it's still like a very like a very like a Masonic thing as well. Like anytime you put on the suit in order to go to the office, it's usually black and white. um but if you want to focus on the black and gold, I specifically remember this in the first Iron Man movie, where like the main villain of the first Iron Man movie, Obadiah Stane, there's a really short scene of him in his house, and his house is like the floors and the walls and the ceiling are all just jet black. And um and there's gold accents as well that he has inside of his house, and like so I think the black and gold color scheme is a very there is sort of like an ominous sort of energy anytime you have like a mansion or something that is shaped like a black cube. By the way, like a lot of these mansions, and a lot of like the if you look at like these YouTube pages that have grind set, hustle culture, motivation, usually they'll have like the black and white suit with the gold watch, right? Usually like the supercars will be like black and gold, right? Like the houses that like that all the rich people buy, like the modern day houses, they're shaped like black monoliths with gold accents. right? And so even like the mansions and like the all of the like all of like the bureaucratic institutions are all shaped like black monolithic structures. They have like the brutalism, right, where it's meant to sort of like assault your vision, right? But a lot of like that black and gold stuff is something that I see a lot, especially in hustle culture, where like the aesthetic is it's all black and white, and then there's gold accents like the gold watch, the gold ring, like the gold chains. That's some people wear, specifically that's like rappers, but like some people wear gold chains as well. But that black and gold color scheme is definitely something that is, it's representative of Saturn. It's representative of like that obsession with you got to wake up at 5 a.m. You don't want to waste time. You got to schedule this, schedule that. You got to clock in, rise and grind. Right, like that obsession with time is also another thing that is really associated with Saturn. So that black and gold color scheme is it's also something that I noticed in like ancient Egypt, which a lot of a lot of ancient religions have reptilian symbolism in them, and ancient Egypt is no exception. There's a lot of reptile entities, like reptilian entities that were involved in that religion, in the religion and like the worship of ancient Egypt, right? Like they worship a lot of like reptilian entities and reptilian deities, and you see this yet again this obsidian black and with gold accents, that you see that color scheme a lot whenever it comes to stuff that's related to Saturn, stuff that's related to like the obsession with time, the obsession with hustle culture, or like oh, you don't want to waste your time or whatever. And one thing that I've also noticed when it comes to like the cube of Saturn is if you look at like gun design, if you look at like the Glock, right? The Glock is that's the gun that's favored by law enforcement. It's favored by the military, and of course, like the Glock is basically like the cube of Saturn gun, right? It's a black rectangular monolith, and that's favored by law enforcement in the military. So it's very interesting to see how like the that black cube symbolism really does have a major influence in a lot of these institutions, where it's like even the gun designs that are preferred are reminiscent of the cube of Saturn, right? But that black and gold color scheme is the second thing that I've noticed, and the third thing that I've noticed whenever it comes to color schemes is like the camouflage that the army wears, and a lot of the color schemes that a lot of like people in the military wear. So like, I mean the colors will alternate. Like the Navy will wear navy camouflage. You have the green camouflage, you have the khaki camouflage. But whenever it comes to like this color scheme, it reminds me of reptile skin. Like a lot of these people who encounter reptilian entities, they'll describe like the khaki color scheme. They'll describe yellowish, greenish color notes on the reptilian skin of these entities. And so it's one of those things where it's like once you see it, it's very obvious that it's like the military works for the reptilians, and so they dress up as reptilians. It's like anytime you have like a military uniform, it's almost like they're putting on reptile skin, and they're sort of, and of course like this is like a concept in magic, which is that dressing up as something can can make you become that thing. And this is why like in a lot of these satanic rituals, they dress up as demons in order to get possessed by a demon. Like a lot of these ancestor spirit quote unquote rituals, they dress up as a jester entity to get possessed by a jester, right? So a lot of this stuff where it's like the stuff that you wear, the stuff that you dress up as can affect your state of consciousness. That is one of the concepts of like one of the concepts in magic, right? And so like I think that the military is definitely no exception, where it's like they're literally putting on lizard skin. And like if there was any institution in this world that was more obviously using mind control tactics, MK Ultra brainwashing tactics, it's the military. Because I mean, you look at the stuff like in boot camp. If you look at it, it's like it's classic, breaking the person down to build them back up. You have like the drill instructor yelling at you and hurling verbal abuse at you. You have like the constant, physical torture tests, like breaking down the body to break down the mind, right? The all of your time, right? Yet again, like this correlation between Saturn and time. Like all of your time is strictly controlled by someone else. You don't own your time. You're a slave to a schedule that's created by like the drill instructor or whoever's at a higher position of power. You can't sleep and wake up on your own time. And so like if there was any institution in this world that was more obviously reptilian, that was more obviously using these trauma based mind control tactics, it's definitely the military. Because even like in basic just boot camp, what they're doing is they're trying to break the person down to build them back up. They're trying to basically trying to use that trauma based mind control, trying to take away the person's individuality, their autonomy, their control over their time, right? And yet again, this is correlated with like the whole reptilian element of it, which is that a lot of like the camo stuff, like a lot of camo is it does look like lizard skin, and it's very interesting because a lot of like modern day military people, like they don't need camo. Like it's not like they're out on foot a lot of the time. Like a lot of the times, like, it's either they're like in fighter jets or they're in vehicles, or it's that they're piloting stuff like remotely, like they have like remote control, like drone strike, stuff. So it's not like they necessarily need camo. Like the camo isn't really that effective anyway. Like if you look at like like especially like in the Navy or whatever, like if you look at the like the camouflage or whatever, right? Like it's not exactly like they're going to be like swimming in the water and you can't see them in the water or whatever, right? It's like it is kind of like interesting how like there's still like this focus on camo, and like that specifically like the green or the khaki colored, that scaly pattern that they wear. That a lot of members of the military, they wear that scaly pattern where it's like this sort of patchwork of different tones and different colors. Sometimes the camouflage is very pixelated, and so it looks like scales. A lot of times, like the camouflage can, if you pick like the pixelated sort of version of that, a lot of times it can look like individual sort of fish scales or like snake scales. A lot of times just on the skin. Right, and so I think that is a very interesting thing when it comes to camo and like camouflage stuff, because and I don't think that it's an accident. Like, oh, they just kept it as like a tradition. Like, because there was one point where it's like, oh, okay, they need to use camo, they need to use like this color scheme in order to blend in with their surroundings. But nothing happens by accident, and I think that it's not necessarily, oh, it's just tradition. They just decide to keep it. Nothing in this world happens by accident. There's a reason, whether it's conscious or whether it's subconscious. Whether it's something in the collective unconsciousness of humanity, or whether it's some entities sort of controlling people in authority from the unconscious. I think that a lot of times like this stuff doesn't happen by accident. I don't think it's an accident that military people look like they're wearing lizard skin. That they're and I think that that's the most obvious sort of color scheme sort of thing, that anytime you see camo, anytime, and especially if you look at a lot of like poachers, a lot of poachers will wear like these camo shirts or whatever. And I mean, I know people can wear camo in order to blend into their surroundings, but if you look at like the sort of psycho mentality of like some hunters, where it's like they're not hunting for food, they're hunting for sport, and they just kill an animal, and then they put its head up on the wall as sort of a decoration, and they just throw the animal away. Or you have like a lot of like poachers who will they'll kill animals for no reason, as sort of like just for sport, just because like they enjoy seeing the suffering and like the death of another animal or whatever. Right? That is also something that I notice. But and here's the thing: like hunting isn't necessary. It's not bad if you're doing it for food, if you do it with respect for nature. But a lot of times, like these people who they get really into it. It's almost like people who buy big trucks or whatever. It's like that kind of person who's like really like, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but it's like someone who's like really quick to anger, someone who has anger issues. I've seen this person before, this kind of person before, where it's like they have like they're like constantly wearing camo, constantly wearing like stuff to make them like it's like doing stuff to make themselves look tough to sort of overcompensate. It's the same reason why people buy lifted trucks. It's the same reason why like people hunt big animals, is because like they want to make themselves look tough, like they're the bigger guy or whatever. I see that camo has a huge correlation with that, and especially if you look at like the military, especially with the way that some military, like, it's not all the military members. I feel like most members of the military are sort of scammed by the system. Like they get their leg blown off, they get traumatized or whatever, and then they become homeless veterans. So the military is very like the institution of the military is very reptilian in terms of like how they treat people, as just disposable chess pieces on the global stage. But yeah, like that camo thing is another huge color scheme that I noticed. But I definitely think that color schemes, just look for patterns in terms of color scheme. If you look at out in the world, if you look at people, if you look at institutions, there is a huge correlation between like the black and white color scheme, like alternating black and white, and and masonry, and law enforcement. You look at like the black and gold being correlated with Saturn, with hustle culture, with the grind set being correlated with the cube of Saturn, right? And you look at like the camo color scheme being very like a it looks very much like reptile skin, and it's almost like they're tapping into like a reptilian energy anytime they wear like the camo or whatever. But yeah, like those are some just just really recently I've just been getting this download of color schemes being associated with a lot of, these institutions, color schemes being, associated with states of consciousness. And I think I do really need to research symbolism more. I think there's a reason why they put symbolism in movies. There's a reason why they put symbolism, and like they put, certain, shapes and symbols in your face, like the Eye of Providence. Like if you look at like the App Store logo, like the App Store logo is like the compass and square. You're like the Google Play logo, like the App Store for Android. It looks like like it looks like the sigil for Lucifer, right? So a lot. You look at like the Illuminati, like the triangle with the eye in the middle. So I think symbolism does have a lot of power. And then recently I've been getting interested in like chaos magic, because you look at like chaos magic stuff where, like they use sigil magic a lot of times, where it's like, like the symbolism can have an effect on consciousness and stuff like that. I definitely think that symbolism holds a lot of value in terms of like how it manipulates the consciousness of the population, right? But in particular, I've noticed this when it comes to color schemes, right? But yeah, that's the video.